Yo, what's up everybody, it's your boy Elvious Void coming back with another video on the channel. So yeah, this video is what if Naruto was Kokushibo's reincarnation. I'm sorry I didn't post 2 days ago. I was having a very bad, I had a really bad throat, and I did, put up a message in the YouTube stuff. So yeah, we'll just get right into this video. But before we actually do, please hit that like button and subscribe button, as it really does help with the YouTube algorithm, as well as putting a comment down below on any other suggestions you want me to do on this channel. So without further ado, let's just get right into this. We start this what if back at the village. During these 3 years that everyone has been gone, Naruto at the edge of the land of fire, Sasuke with Orochimaru training, Gaara's dead, so there's not much there. They would have the funeral for the sad genin that died trying to rescue Sasuke, that being Kiba, Neji, Shikamaru, Choji, and Rock Lee survives, so he's not there. He's all good. Of course it's Rock Lee's all good. Anyway, with the village being down in a lot of power from the negative effects of Sasuke running away, as well as Naruto running away, being the nine-tailed Shinshitake of the village is in a really sad state, with Tsunade, who is trying her best to keep the village in high spirits and have enough power to fend off any attackers. She's struggling greatly. The clan leaders are greatly frustrated and are all in sorrow and grief as their children are dead. But Hisashi is not really having that feeling, as Neji was just part of the branch, part of the family, and didn't really care about him. With Naruto, he's just chilling on the edge of the land of fire, training and meditating, getting ready to fight anybody that does try to irritate him during his training to become the strongest in the world. With Danzo back in Konoha, he is building an army to overtake Tsunade and become the Hokage, thinking that she's not running the village in the right type of mindset during this time, as Konoha has been greatly affected by the running away of the last known Uchiha that's really loyal to the village, as well as the nine-tailed Shinshitake brat. With him doing all this, he is using his Kotomatsu Kami nearly every single day to control and get root members into his army to help overtake Tsunade during this time. But Tsunade does know this and does back herself up, with Jiraiya also being there to help Tsunade in this troubling time, kind of pushing Danzo off this for now, but he's still trying to build up his army. Jiraiya is with Tsunade, but because of him trying to always find Naruto during this time, he doesn't have a lot of time to spend with Tsunade in the village, instead going out and trying to find any leads on where Naruto is, as Naruto has basically gone off the map in the entire world. With the Sand Village and Konoha not really being allies during this time, as one of the ninjas from Konoha had killed both the male heirs to the Kage office of the Sand Village, they won't be in a good relationship. And so when the Akatsuki do come to take the One-Tails from the village, that being after it's reformed from being killed by Naruto in the Sand Village, they wouldn't be much help there, and Deidara and Sasori would be able to capture it with relative ease. With the One-Tails captured, more Akatsuki members are trying to capture more tailed beasts, and would end up capturing all of them except for the 8 and 9 tails. With Zetsu, he's trying to locate Naruto, and does find him, finding him on the edge of the land of fire, as I said before, seeing that Naruto is training. But as he's watching Naruto, Naruto senses a bit of chakra and looks towards Zetsu. Zetsu freaks out and sinks into the ground, running his way as fast as he can, not wanting to be captured by Naruto. But with Naruto, he felt a faint sense of chakra and looked over to where he thought it was, but as soon as he did, it disappeared with no further trace. With that being said, since the Akatsuki has captured every single one of the tailed beasts except for the 8 and 9 tails, they would start to make plans for the capturing of the two. With Zetsu now knowing the 2 locations of the 9 tails and the 8 tails, he would tell Obito as well as Pain on the next part, the next action they would do to capture these 2 tailed beasts and revive the 10 tails through Nagato's Rinnegan. Back with Sasuke, he has been training with Orochimaru and is at the relative same place that he was in the original. and would soundly, defeat Orochimaru. With Orochimaru being dead completely this time, there's no real way for him to revive at this point. With Sasuke leaving like the original, he would go off to find his team and would go off to fight Itachi, his brother, still not knowing the entire story of what happened. Everything like this would go to the original, with Sasuke defeating Itachi and Obito coming in when Sasuke is defenseless and really easy to manipulate, and would tell him about Itachi and all the mishaps that the village had set on Itachi for him to kill his own family as well as his clan just to save himself. With this information, Sasuke would awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. And because of this scenario with Obito's plan going so swell, he would give Sasuke the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, transplanting Itachi's eyes into his own. With Naruto, he's just chilling, he's meditating at night, and he would be thinking about all the things that have been happening in the past 3 years of his life. He's been peaceful during this time. The hateful glares that he usually got in the village aren't here. There's nobody here. There's nothing but acres and acres of land that is free to train and do whatever he wants in it. He has mastered all the moon-breathing styles to the max and has strengthened his body to the utmost limits. And after going and defeating a whole bunch of bandits, he feels no real remorse for anybody at this point, no matter what, and how old they are or what their gender is. He feels no remorse, just like how Kokushibo really is. With Naruto knowing all the stuff about his body and the fights that he did take in the Konoha Crush, he knows that he can easily take on a village and would be able to wipe out a village and probably most of a continent with ease. There wouldn't be much struggle with Naruto in the strength and power department. With Naruto back to where he's meditating, he would sense a massive amount of chakra build up and would get up, opening his eyes, but before he could really do anything, he gets blasted away in a massive almighty push. With all 6 paths of the paths of pain appearing towards Naruto, Naruto would get up, healing from any of the damage he took, and would look towards Nagato, or really the paths of pain, as Nagato was hiding in a tree with Konan. Naruto would ask who the hell these people are, and Nagato would tell him that they are the Paths of Pain and the leader of the Akatsuki, and would tell Naruto to release the Nine Tails to them so that they could bring about the peace along the world. With Naruto not really finding releasing the Nine Tails all that real good, but because he is immortal and can regenerate from relatively anything at all in the Naruto series, he wouldn't really have the thoughts to not give the Nine Tails to Nagato. Seeming that as he won't die from releasing the Nine Tails, he wouldn't think much of it, but because he wants to fight Pain or, Nagato at this point, he would say no, seeing that this could be a pretty good fight, as that almighty push did do a little bit of damage to him, but not much, as it instantly healed back. With Naruto, as well as the Paths of Pain going into a fight, a frenzy would start. With Naruto releasing his sword, he would be battling the Paths of Pain and would seem to be toying with him the entire time. With all the Diva Path using the Almighty Push and Almighty Pull, Naruto would be able to fully analyze the moveset and realize that there is a 5-second cooldown on each time he uses either of the jutsus. He'd realize that the Ashura Path can manipulate the body of the person to basically make guns and a lot of different machinery. With the human path not being really able to do anything except for, extract souls, but relatively, it's not going to be able to attack Naruto. Naruto wouldn't think much of it. The animal path would try to summon a whole bunch of animals, but as soon as they do summon, Naruto would just use the first form, Dark Moon, Evening Palace, and with one horizontal sword strike, he'd be able to send a whole bunch of crescent moons towards the summonings and would instantly destroy them, poofing them out of existence and back to where, they usually are in the animal plane. With the Predator Path not really being as well, useful in this situation, as the chakra absorption isn't really necessary for this, as Naruto is only putting a chakra into his body and not outwards like any other jutsu that he would usually use. The Naraka path as well wouldn't be much help either in this situation, with the Ashura and Diva path basically carrying this entire fight. But with Naruto being way out of the Paths of Pain's leagues, he would be toying with the Paths of Pain's, seeing that there is nothing more to the tricks of all the Rinnegan's abilities. He would decide to destroy all these paths and would use the third form, Loathsome Moon Chains, and would rapidly swing his sword in 2 strikes and would create a small storm of crescent moons that would destroy and completely wipe out the Paths of Pain, killing all 6 of them, dismantling their bodies and making them fall to the ground. Naruto would inspect the bodies and see the chakra receivers and would be able to sense where Nagato is as a type of reverse mechanical, stuff with the little mechanical rods that have the chakra receivers in. With Nagato now fearing Naruto as he's back with Konan, he would tell Konan exactly what's happening, and in a sweaty fury he would tell Konan that they need to leave right now. But before they could, Naruto would arrive. He'd open up the paper mache tree and would see Nagato as well as Konan and ask him why he actually tried to attack him. Nagato would explain all the things of what the Akatsuki is trying to accomplish, and would tell Naruto that this is for the good of the world and to bring peace to the world through pain. Naruto would say that that's kind of stupid and the world wouldn't become peaceful just because of pain. He would say that the world needs to understand each other, as because of the treatment that he got at the village, he realized that this all could have been solved if the village had just understood what Naruto was and had treated him with respect instead of hatred and fear. And instead, because of this, Naruto would understand that people need to accept others to go on with their lives. Nagato would kind of get a talk no jutsu from Naruto and would decide to, not really do anything and just try to leave. But Naruto says to Nagato that he's destroyed his land, his peaceful area, and he has to die. Nagato would try to attack Naruto in a last-ditch effort, but because Naruto is too fast, he would instantly kill Nagato. And because Konan's there as well, he would also kill Konan. With the 2 now dead, Naruto wouldn't bury the bodies and would instead leave the tree, going back to his home, deciding to pack up his stuff and leave. Zetsu and Obito were watching from a wee while away and would now decide that Naruto cannot be beaten on a 1v1 and would have to revive the Ten Tails and become a Shinchuriki another way. He would then go to Nagato's body, taking the 2 Rinnegan out of its head, and would implant one of the Rinnegans inside of his one eye and, give Zetsu the other one, telling him to hide it away. With Kabuto, he's mastered the Snake Sage mode and is now met by Obito as well as Sasuke. Kabuto greets them and asks if they want to team up, as he's mastered the Revival Jutsu and could be a great help in doing whatever they plan as long as they don't try to attack him. Sasuke, seeing Kabuto, would immediately try to kill him, thinking him only as Orochimaru's henchman, but Obito would tell him to stop, saying that he needs him for the plan to work, as there's no other way to get the Nine Tails chakra. Back with Naruto, as he's leaving the land as it's all destroyed, he would just decide to wander into a cave that's near a massive desert, but will decide to just chill there and would start to meditate over the next few days. With the Kages and all the other villages, they would decide to call a Kage summit and would go to the land of Iron, as the 8 Tails has been captured and killed by the Akatsuki, and all that stuff is happening, where the Akatsuki now having all the Biju except for the 9 Tails. With all the Kages coming in to the Kage summit, they would all start to blame each other for the mishap of where the Biju are and how they'd let the Akatsuki take them all under their noses. With Obito and Sasuke coming in, warping using Kamui, Obito would tell all the Kage that he is now declaring the 4th Ninja War and they need to find Naruto and hand him over if he doesn't want to kill them all. He would leave, and Sasuke, glaring at all the other Kage, he would especially glare at Tsunade, being the new Hokage of Konoha. with all the 5 Kages now banding together to help find Naruto and keep him safe from the Akatsuki, Tsunade, Temari, who is now the new Kage of the Sand Village. I forgot what it's called. Because of the situation with the bloodline inheriting the Kage position, because Gaara and Kankuro are both dead, Temari would have to take the role as the new Kage. Also, the Land of Iron leader would also agree to this, as well as Mei and Onoki. With the war now beginning, all the Kages would band together and the Ninja Alliance would start. But with all of them putting a lot of their resources into trying to find Naruto, Naruto would be nowhere to be seen, again, falling off the edge of the map. Jiraiya would still be alive in this, as he didn't go off to fight Nagato, as he was too preoccupied with finding Naruto and trying to keep him safe as well from all this time over the past 3 years. With Naruto, he is training in a cave, but a white Zetsu would come into the cave and try to attack Naruto, while the other one is sending a message to the original Zetsu, giving him the information on where Naruto is. But as he's sending the message and has been sent, they all die. Naruto would walk out of the cave and would sense the many deaths that are occurring across the nation, and would decide that something big is probably happening, and these little white monsters have been attacking him randomly at this point and have seeming to stop at no end to try get him. On the sand battlefield somewhere else, Madara Uchiha has been zombified and is now destroying everyone in a 1v, 1,000 at this point. It's crazy. He would send out a giant meteorite, and with that being said, without Gaara and Onoki being the only one there, as well as Temari, everyone would die. On that battlefield, no one would survive, and Madara would go to find Obito, thinking that this is a perfect opportunity to revive the Ten Tails at this point. As he does this, he would run into the last of the Kage, being, Tsunade and Mei. I think those are the last ones that are left. But because, it's Madara Uchiha, he would be able to absolutely mollywop the bunch of them, killing them in the frenzy, as there's no real need to toy with them, as they aren't strong whatsoever. Back with Obito, he is destroying the Ninja Alliance with the paths of Jinchurikis, using all the Jinchurikis from, the amount of, Bichus that they've gotten, and with no one really standing a chance, they would be absolutely decimated. Obito would now have all the necessary amounts of chakra, getting the Nine Tails chakra from those 2 brothers that were reanimated, and would get ready to become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. He would revive the Ten Tails, and with the massive amount of chakra exuberating from the Ten Tails, Naruto would immediately sense this and head towards that area. Obito, knowing that the seal is still in his heart, he would let Kakashi, as well as Guy, hold him back and let Kakashi stab him in the heart, releasing the seal that Madara had placed on him, and would push the 2 back using Kamui and would become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Naruto, who is now exactly where they are now, would watch this all in a smile and in awe, as the amount of power and chakra that Obito is now releasing is magnificent in his eyes. He would smirk and would dash past Kakashi and Guy and would try to fight Obito. As Obito isn't in his perfect Ten-Tails state, he wouldn't have his truth-seeking balls and would be having a very difficult time with Naruto and his attacks. Naruto would be using the 3rd form, Loathsome Moon Chains, and would swing his sword rapidly in 2 strikes against Obito, but because Obito cannot use Kamui in the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails state, he wouldn't be able to defend it, and instead would get cut down by Naruto, cutting his arms, but not severing them completely, as, the amount of strength that Naruto isn't putting out towards Obito, he's kind of just testing Obito to see how strong he is, and how much Naruto has to push himself in this fight. Naruto would kick Obito away from this area, and Obito would start to regenerate, as Madara was able to regenerate from Guy in the 10th gate. I assume that because you're the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, that you'd have immense regenerative ability. So even if you are in unstable state, you'd still be able to regenerate quite a bit and very easily. Obito would be having a conflict in his own mind, and after a while of Naruto slowly walking to Obito, he would be covered in a cocoon and would become a fully finalized Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. Obito would now have access to the truth-seeking orbs and would now have a much better fight with Naruto. Naruto as well as Obito would fight towards run towards each other, having Obito making a sword staff type of thing out of the truth-seeking orbs, and with Naruto with his flesh sword, he would clash against Obito, but because of the truth-seeking orbs having, all that ability to like erase things, Naruto's sword would be cut down over and over again, but it would just regrow in size and sharpness as more swords would come out of Naruto's sword, extending outwards, being the final form of Naruto's sword. Naruto would have his 6 eyes now open, glowing in a menacing aura, as Naruto is now deciding to go a little bit full out, as Obito is has a big possibility of, maybe killing him, as he's realized that these truth-seeking orbs do destroy his body, but he can still regenerate from it. But if the truth-seeking orb does hit his head and wipes it out, there could be a big possibility that he won't be able to regenerate from that. With this, Obito would launch a whole bunch of truth-seeking orbs towards Naruto's direction, and Naruto would use the second form, Pearl Flower Moon Gazing, and will perform several crescent-shaped moon slashes that defend the upcoming truth-seeking orbs towards him, and would hit the many crescent blades that were out in a barrage towards Obito. The truth-seeking orbs would hit the crescent moon blades in the air and would start to slow down, but it wouldn't fully slow down and still go towards Naruto's direction, slamming into him, making many holes in Naruto's body, but the second it goes through him, his body regenerates again, dashing towards Obito once again. Obito was caught off guard as he didn't realize that Naruto's regenerative abilities were this strong, and would think about how much stronger that is than the Hashirama cells that he has in himself. Naruto would dash towards Obito and would get a few hits on him, swinging his sword as well as Obito as well, clashing with him. But because of Naruto's much better skill in Kenjutsu and overall ability as a ninja in taijutsu and all those different departments, he'd be able to outclass Obito, starting to outspeed Obito now, as well as, outstrength them in the clashes that they do have blade to blade. With Obito being now backhanded by Naruto, he would be sent flying away and into a tree. Obito would decide that this is the best chance to get out the tree to try and create the infinite Tsukuyomi, and would release the Ten Tails back out of his body and would start the plan to get a tree out before Naruto can continue to fight him on a 1v1. Kakashi during this time is battling with Sasuke. Kakashi and Guy would battle against Sasuke, as Sasuke was just trying to defend against him at this point. Sasuke is still on Obito's side, as there's not much to go there, as Naruto isn't trying to talk no jutsu him. Sasuke would be holding off Kakashi and Guy, but is having a very difficult time with this, finding it very struggling to fight them both on a 2v1 situation. But as Guy goes further into the gates, he'd be absolutely demolished and would be defeated and knocked out by Kakashi, saying that he shouldn't kill Sasuke as he was just out for revenge and he'll have to answer for his crimes later on. With Naruto, Obito has now released the Ten Tails and the tree has begun to bloom, and the fight again with Naruto and Obito would start to go again. Naruto would immediately dash towards Obito and attempt to cut down the tree, but because of its, size and durability of the tree, he would only be able to create cuts in it. But Obito would come in, and still using his truth-seeking orbs, he would use that as a defense as well as an offense against Naruto. But because of Naruto's regenerative ability, constantly regenerating after each hit that Obito does hit him with, he'd be able to regenerate and attack Obito, slashing him down. And after a while, Obito would be, back on the defensive constantly. Naruto would decide that this is the last time that he'll actually do this, and he needs to get rid of Obito before the blooming of the tree starts. Naruto would use the 7th form, Mirror of Misfortune, Moonlit, and would swing the gigantic version of his sword in a powerful frontal crescent shaped slash that created a multi-directional long-range slashes in the ground where Obito is standing, and would impale Obito, and because of this, Obito would lose control of the Ten Tails and his mind would be split. Obito would lose control of the Ten Tails, and the Ten Tails would split back up into the 9 Biju, or the 8 Biju, as the 9 Tails is still inside of Naruto, or the half the 9 Tails is still in Naruto. With that being said, Madara, who is watching all this, would decide that this is the best part, or the best timing, to get Obito to revive him using the Rinnegan's abilities. Black Zetsu would come into the playing field and take control of Obito, and would start the Rinne rebirth on Madara, reviving him after, because of, Hashirama's not here. Madara wouldn't be able to get Hashirama Sage Mode, so he's going to be weaker, but that doesn't really matter at this point. Madara, who is now revived and has been given 1 Rinnegan by Zetsu, who's, who had hidden it before and now giving it to Madara, he would be at the exact same type of strength that he was in the original. I'll just make that for just a random point. With Madara using the Rinnegan chains to grab all the other Biju, he would grab the 1 to 8 tails, and would also grab Naruto using the chains and would rip out the 9 tails. Naruto, knowing that this is, could be a much more interesting fight than Obito, seeing as Madara does seem a lot stronger than Obito in his base, and if he does get the 9 tails out of him, he'd become even stronger with the 10 tails and could have a much better fight towards him, and he can now forever solidify in history that he beat a much stronger Madara, being the strongest person to ever exist in the ninja world. Naruto would let the 9 tails be ripped out of him, and all the Biju, plus half of the 9 tails, would be put into the Geromazu and would revive the 10 tails once again. Because Madara has 1 Rinnegan and he's, in a perfect condition, he would just instead decide to become the 10 tails Shinchuriki instantly, as he doesn't want to mess with Naruto at this point, as he sees from his fight with Obito that he is ridiculously strong, and in his base type of could pretty much easily defeat Obito as a 10 tails Shinchuriki, even though he only had a small portion of the 9 tails chakra. With Madara now having pretty much near the exact same type of level he was with the 1 Rinnegan Madara, he'd be immediately put into the perfect state of the 10 tails Shinchuriki, and would have the truth-seeking arms as well as his hair turning white and having 1 Rinnegan. Obito, who doesn't have the Talk no Jutsu from Naruto but is still lost, would be taken over by Black Zetsu and would be transported using Kamui towards Madara, and Madara would rip out the other Rinnegan in Obito's head and would implant it into himself, now having both of the Rinnegans. Obito would be killed instantly by Black Zetsu as well as Madara, and Black Zetsu would go to Madara's side, waiting for the perfect moment to backstab Madara and revive Kaguya. With Naruto, who is getting ready to fight Madara, his world would go black and he would pass out. Naruto would wake up in a weird room. He would see an old man who had very pale skin and 2 horns protruding from his forehead. He'd walk up to the man and ask who he is. The man would be Hagoromo Otsutsuki. He would tell Naruto that he is the reincarnation of both of his sons. I'll just say this for just plot convenience at this point, as he isn't an Uchiha, but we'll just say for the plot convenience. He would say that Naruto is the reincarnation of both his sons Indra and Ashura, and would give the history of the two, fighting over and over again, and now reincarnating into the same boy. He would also say that he sees another reincarnation inside of Naruto, someone that was evil in his past life and someone not from this world or dimension. He would tell Naruto that he is going to give him basically all of his power, as he knows that Kaguya, his mother, is going to be revived from someplace in the future, not knowing entirely how she's going to be revived, but thinks that Madara will be the host for her body. Naruto would say that it's fine and he can take care of it, and Hagoromo would give him the Moon and Sun seal on both of his hands. Naruto, waking up from his, being passed out, he'd realize that his strength has been magnified greatly, and all of his statistics and stats would be, increased to a much higher plane than it was before. Madara would notice the change in Naruto's entire presence entirely, noting that this could be something to do with the Sage of Six Paths, noting that he does have 6 paths chakra, or 6 paths chakra mode, kind of basically. That's pretty much what it is. Naruto, now realizing that his strength has been magnified by a great lot, he would immediately unsheath his sword and would see Madara as he uses a truth-seeking orb to create a staff and would rush towards Naruto. As the tree is still blooming, as Madara had released it back into the actual world to begin the infinite Tsukiyomi, the tree would continue to bloom, and Naruto would fight against Madara. With Madara having 2 of his Rinnegan and using his Limbo clones, Naruto would be able to sense the Limbo clones. As he has great sensory abilities from the 6 Paths Sage mode, as well as his regular sensory abilities, to be able to sense and fight these clones with relative ease, using the Shadow Clone Jutsu that he had learned during all his time at Konoha, and all the other time that he spent training. And he would use these clones to battle off the Limbo clones, and would basically molly rock Madara. Madara would realize that Naruto is seemingly way out of his league, and would decide that this is now the only time that he can actually put out the infinite Tsukiyomi. He would rip off the massive horn type of thing protruding from his forehead and would reveal the Rinne Sharingan. With the tree now blooming, he would begin the infinite Tsukiyomi, but because Naruto is basically fully immune to all type of genjutsu because of his demonic body, as well as having 6 path chakra now, he wouldn't be put onto the infinite Tsukiyomi, but instead, because Madara is continuously absorbing the chakra and putting everyone into the infinite Tsukiyomi, as a lot of people have died, so there would be a lot less people, Naruto would realize that this is getting way out of hand now, and he needs to get rid of Madara at this very moment. Madara would start to laugh at Naruto, saying that it's too late and that he's won. But Naruto, on the other hand, is starting to smirk as he realized that Madara will be a much better fight now, and that this will be a great fight, something that will be written down in history as the greatest fight to have ever been, fought. Naruto would rush towards Madara and would use the 9th form, Waning Moon's Wrath, and would create a massive stream of long-range crescent moon-shaped vertical slashes, as well as horizontal slashes, along with a numerous amount of 6 paths enhanced crescent moon blades, with the gigantic version of a sword with all the other swords protruding from it, and would hit Madara at faster than the speed of light, and would immediately hit Madara, catching him off guard and completely ripping off and slicing off all of his limbs. Madara would be on the ground and would start to regenerate, laughing as a maniac, and would say that Naruto is a much greater fight than Hashirama. Naruto would start to walk over to Madara, but before he could do anything, Black Zetsu would stab Madara before he can continue to regenerate, and would say that it is time to revive his mother. Because Zetsu is now taking control of Madara's body, he would use the infinite Tsukiyomi and all of his abilities to absorb all the chakra from all the people that are trapped under the infinite Tsukiyomi, and would begin to revive Kaguya, absorbing all the chakra inside of Madara, using him as a host body, and Kaguya would be revived. With Kaguya now being revived, and Madara, basically gone at this point, Naruto would have a much bigger struggle than he's ever had in the past. Naruto would realize that this is something that he might not be able to do, as Kaguya is extremely strong, but so is he, but decides that this is something that he needs to do. Naruto would rush towards Kaguya, but Kaguya would go into one of her dimensions, bringing Naruto along, after getting some information from Black Zetsu about his abilities and his strength. Kaguya would decide that she needs to absorb all of Naruto's chakra, as he got it from her son, who she hates very much, and can sense basically her son, as well as her grandchildren's, as she didn't know, but she can sense the underlying Otsutsuki chakra lying dormant inside of him. Naruto would start to fight off against Kaguya, kind of speed blitzing her at this point, as Naruto's speed is kind of on a higher level than Kaguya. But because of her absolute hacks that she has, she'd be fighting Naruto at an equal stance. But with Naruto having all his forms and moon breathing and all his regenerative abilities, his strength enhanced by the 6th path sage mode, Naruto would be able to use the sun and moon seal to seal Kaguya back into the moon, releasing all the 9 Bichu, and that'd be pretty much done. With Naruto, he would just be, chilling in that void, basically, in another dimension. But because Hagoromo, as well as all the other people, the Kage, they would use the reverse summoning jutsu and would reverse summon Naruto back to the living plane, back to where everyone else is. Naruto would be regarded as the hero who saved the world, but because Naruto decides that this is not really what he wanted, he would leave and go to an isolated training again, deciding that he'll outlive everyone, and if they want to pick a fight with him, they can. But that's pretty much where this what if would end, with all the other villagers going back and kind of counting all the losses that they had gotten. There would be a massive death toll. Most of the shinobi are dead, leaving only really villagers at this point, with not a lot of high trained people. My guy would still be alive, as well as Kakashi, and Kakashi would be elected as the new Hokage of the village. Danzo would have died during the war arc, as well as a lot of his root Anbu, and a lot of the villagers, as well as the Kages, would have to elect new Kages. So yeah, that's where I'm pretty much going to leave it off. If you guys did like this, please hit that like button as well as the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later.